Hello, welcome to a new video. If you've looked at the thumbnail and if you've looked at the title of this video, you will know I have only gone and created a TBR game, and it is of course Star Wars themed, because I did not buy these in Florida to not get full use out of them. Unfortunately, the TBR game doesn't actually involve the lightsabers. I just thought it'd be cool to put them in the video because I'm a massive nerd. Okay, so my TBR game is of course Star Wars themed, and it is called May the TBR Be With You. I have had this idea since about July last year, and then I just kept procrastinating, and then I was like, oh, I will make the first month I use this January. December came around and I had not even started, so I was like, do you know what, maybe not. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it in January for February, maybe I'll do it in February for March. And then I was like, no, do you know what? It was mid-February and I was like, do you know what? I am doing this. This is happening at the end of March for April's TBR, because April is the birthday of my booktube. So why can't it be the birthday of my booktube TBR game as well? So I created the board. I am not taking full credit for this. I actually, I got prompt ideas from friends. Liz is the main one that I got prompt ideas from because she is amazing. And the actual way this is set out, Liv helped me like brainstorm some ideas for it, so Liv gets credit for that. But the actual board itself is all me, and I'm really proud of this because I'm not creative or artistic at all. So I'll show you the board. So this is the board. I absolutely love it. We have 9 planets. So we have Exegol, Coruscant, Mandalore, Lothal, Mustafar, Naboo, Tatooine, Camino. Did I say Scarif? I don't think I did. Scarif's down here as well. And those yellow dots are spaces between the planets. Now, I looked on Google at some maps, and I used one of the maps that has like a grid of distance, and then so some of the planets you'll see only have like a few dots between and some have more. I roughly worked out distance based on those grids, so it's not completely accurate, but it doesn't need to be. This is for me. And then these squares along the side is where the prompt cards for each planet will go. So each planet has their own spot. I'm going to show you the cards because I'm actually really proud of them. They didn't all turn out perfect, but the cards on one side have like the hyperspace, and then on the other side have a character and the prompt. I will say there is one of the worlds, Scarif, which has a planet prompt, which I'm quite proud of the planet prompt because there are only 2 characters you can really use for Scarif. And I didn't want there to just be 2, although there is one world where there is only 2. But anyway, I came up with the idea for the planet prompt for Scarif, and then I was like, I need to include this in here. So obviously when I'm playing, the cards will go there for each of the planets, and the way we're going to move about. So first up, I have to roll the dice 5 times to figure out what planets I need to travel to in each month's game. My first month, this month, I need to roll 6 times because we're going to have a starting planet. So the first time I roll, that will be what planet I start on. I won't pull a prompt for it. It's just the planet I'm starting from. And then I'll roll 5 times, and whatever numbers I get is the planet. So each planet has a number. To get that, even though there's only 9 planets, I will be rolling a d10. If I land on the 0, I just roll again. That is how I will be figuring out what planets I go to for that month. And then to get around the board, I will say I'm just using my little Mando keyring for now. It doesn't really work with like standing on a certain circle, so I will need to rethink this. But for now, Mando is who we're moving around the board. But I will be rolling 2 d8s. The reason for the d8s is because if I roll a double, I automatically move to the planet I need to go to next. I have to do the planets in order. And if I roll a double, I automatically move through hyperspace to the next planet. But if I don't roll a double, that's just how many spaces I move to reach the next planet. Now, the hard part here, and this is where the punishment will come in. The hard part is that I have to do this in only 10 moves. Now, when I was first figuring it out, I used 2d6s. There was no way, unless I rolled 5 doubles, there was no way I was making it. So I changed it to 2d8s, and I have to do this in 10 moves. I have 10 rolls. 10 rolls. If I do not make it to all 5 planets in those 10 rolls, so let's say, I'm going to say I have already done my rolls for this, so I know what I got. So, for example, this month, spoiler alert, I only made it to 4 of the planets. So, I wanted to have this give me 5 books every month, no matter what, but I didn't want more than 5. So, to fill in that last spot, it will be the same. If I only make it to 2 planets, then I will need to fill those other spots to make it to 5 with my lightsabers. I have lightsabers. Yes, they are lollipop sticks that have just been painted. I'm really happy with this. And basically I will pull a random one, and each one has a number. The numbers range from 1 to 36. And to get that, I have, let's turn the brightness up a bit so you can see. I have a list of books on here. These are just random books from my shelves that I just don't seem to be picking up. The list starts with last year's Self-Destruct, which failed. We're not going to go into that. It continues with my 30 books to read the year I turned 30, and then filling in the rest of the gaps is just books that I don't seem to be picking up, but I really want to read. So that is how I will determine if I don't hit all 5 planets. So it's a punishment without being a punishment, and that's how I like it for my own game. So that is all the rules. Without further ado, let's get into the rolls. Okay, so let's see what planet we are starting off on. Number 8. So we are starting on Tatooine. So let's just put Mando. Let's just put Mando on Tatooine. So now let's see what 5 planets we will be needing to travel to. That is a 1, so that's Exegol. Planet number 2 is 8, so that's Tatooine. Planet number 3, 5, that's Scarif. Planet number 4 is 2, that is Coruscant. And planet number 5 is a 6, so that is Mustafa. Okay, so I have my 2d8s, and let's do our first roll. That's a 1 and a 6. So we are gonna cut across. So that's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Roll number 2. That's a double 1, yes. So we go through hyperspace straight to Exegol. So let's see what prompt we've got. So that is Ray, an underrated book. Okay, so that roll landed us on Exegol, and I picked the Ray prompt, which is to read an underrated book. For this, I am choosing Norma by Sophie Oksanen. I have had this book for a while. I believe it's a translated book. I will need to double check that. But I've only ever heard about one person talking about this author, but not necessarily this book, and that is my Finnish friend, because this is a Finnish book. So yeah, underrated. Okay, so we need to go back to Tatooine, so let's roll again. That's a 4 and an 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So just before Coruscant. So I'm thinking the best course of action will be to go down here. So let's do our next roll. It's a 5 and a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next roll. It's a 4 and a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A 4 and a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're on Tatooine. So Tatooine, let's see what we've got. So that is Jawa, read a scavenged book. Our next roll landed us on Tatooine, and I pulled the prompt for Jawas, which is to read a scavenged book. Now this book can be any book I haven't purchased myself. I will try to use either Scribd or my library for these, but I can also use a book that has been gifted to me or I've just borrowed off of a friend. But for this month, I am using Birth of a Killer by Darren Shan. Now, you may be thinking, you've got this physically. I will be reading the ebook that I'm borrowing from my library because that's how I've been rereading the Saga of Darren Shan. So it's how I'm going to read the Saga of Larton Crepsley. So that will be a scavenged book. So we still have 5 left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we roll again. We need to get here. A 1 and a 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see what we've got for Scarif. That is Jinn, one of the oldest books on my TBR. The next planet I landed on was Scarif, and I pulled the prompt for Jinn, which is one of the oldest books on my TBR. This one's kind of difficult for me because oldest book on my TBR for most people might be like 5-6 years. This is 3 years old, but it is Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. I'm going to be buddy reading this one with Emma. I actually forgot to mention the Birth of a Killer I'm going to be buddy reading with Ash. We're buddy reading those. But yeah, I'm buddy reading this with Emma. I read the first book back in 2020 and this has been on my TBR ever since. I've had it on various TBRs and just never got to it. So I'm going to get to it because I'm forcing me and Emma to get to it. Now we need to go to Coruscant. That is the worst one to go to. Because which way works out quicker? Who knows? I still have 3, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Do my next roll. Please be a double. Hey, a double. So we're going to... Oh, that was luck. Pure luck. I like these dice. We're back to Coruscant. So let's see who we've got for Coruscant. That is Leia, a book with found family. Then I landed on the planet Coruscant, which is the core of the galaxy, and I pulled the Leia prompt, which is to read a book with found family. This was a no-brainer for me. Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is a reread for me because I will be continuing the series. I don't think I'm going to be buddy reading this, but I am a guest for Christopher Long, and this is the next series they're doing for Christopher Long, so I'll be reading this. And now we have to get down to Mustafa, which seems easy, but that's a lot of dots with 2 rolls to go. That's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the final roll, I don't think it's going to happen. 9. Oh no. I'm so close to Mustafa, but I've not made it to Mustafa with my 10th roll. So that does mean I have to pick a lightsaber. Let's go for, I want a green one because green's my favourite colour. So that is, I don't know if you can see that, that is a number 7. So this is my list. This was the lightsaber I got. So number 7 is Sea Witch Rising. Oh, we are going to finish a series. And then I did have to pull one of the lightsabers because I did not make it to Mustafar. I was only a few spaces away and it's really frustrating. But I pulled number 7, which, looking at my list, as you would have seen, was Sea Witch Rising by Sarah Henning. This was actually on my self-destruct from last year and I never got to it. I'm scrapping my self-destruct completely. I might talk about it at some point in a video other than this, but I haven't actually talked about it. But basically, self-destructs are not working for me. So I'm not going to unhaul the ones I didn't get to from last year's. I have unhauled a few that I just know I'm not going to get to, but there was still a few on there. So they just went on this list and I'm going to try and get to them. And I'm actually really glad because I do really want to read this. I have heard a few people say it's better than the first one, and I did really enjoy the first one. So I'm glad I'm finally going to get to this one. Okay, so that is my first month of my TBR game planned. I'm so excited. I will say I am also taking part in 2 other readathons. So I'm taking part in the Great Bookish TBR Off, which is hosted by Catherine, Siobhan, Katie and Danny. This is their second round. This is their spring round. I took part in their January round, and this round is working out perfectly because I've managed to get books on there that I needed to read anyway. So I'm going to go through what I'm going to be reading. You might see those books again. Maybe. So I am also going to be taking part in Eurovisionathon, which is hosted by Helen's Bookhaven. This is the 3rd year, I think, that I'm taking part in this. I will say I have not planned books for every single country this year because I don't want to overwhelm myself like I have been the last few years. So I've just picked a few books that are already ones I was looking at anyway. And for the second half of it, so the May half, I might see if I can find some other books. But we'll see. For now, I'm going to stick with these and just be happy at what points I do get. Great Bookish TBR Off for read a book with a vibrant cover. This also works for Australia for Eurovisionathon. I am reading Aurora Rising. That's bright pink and the authors are Australian, so it works for both of those readathons. Next up, for read a book you can read in one sitting, this also fits for the island country for Eurovisionathon. It is Birth of a Killer by Darren Shan. This is a very short book. I know for a fact I can read these in one sitting because I have been sailing through the Darren Shan books. The author is Irish, so it works for Ireland. Next up, for read a book that is mostly green on the cover. This is also going to work for the Finland country for Eurovisionathon. It is Norma by Sophie Oksanen. This is technically more green than pink, and then the spine is green, and then again most of this is green, so this works for green and Finland. The author is Finnish Estonian, so it would work for Estonia as well, but I'm going to use it for Finland. Next up, for read a book with flowers or plants on the cover. This book does not fit any Eurovisionathon prompts, but it's fine. It fits Great Bookish TBR Off, and that is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. This is going to be the April Schwab-along book. I really want to reread this. I read this March last year, really enjoyed it, but I feel like I rushed through it and I didn't enjoy it as much as I possibly could. So I'm going to give it another go and try it in April and slow things down. Next up, for TBR Veteran, I will be reading The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. I am buddy reading this with Catherine and I am very excited to read it. I've heard mixed things about it, but I'm going in it with positive thoughts because I do think I'm going to enjoy this. This won't fit any Eurovisionathon prompts though. Sad. Next up, for Grumpy Sunshine book, this also works for Czech Republic on Eurovisionathon. I'll be reading Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. The main 2 characters are definitely Grumpy Sunshine in the first book, so I'm just going with that for this book. And the first book is mostly set in Prague. I have been told that this one is also partially set in Prague, so yeah. Next up, for read a book with yellow on the cover, which I'm also loosely making this work for Germany for Eurovisionathon, and I'll explain in a sec, is Goes to the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare. Now, this is like a goldy yellow, but there is actually a yellow like curtain tie there. So yellow on the cover. And the reason this works for Germany is because part of it takes place in Idris, which is the Shadowhunter capital. which is hidden from mundanes. However, if you look on a map, it is actually on the border of Germany. So, Germany. And obviously this is for the By the Angel Along read along that I am hosting. I should really mention that and plug my own read along. And then the final prompt for Great Books TBR off is to read your most anticipated new release. And this actually works for the UK for Eurovision-a-thon. I will be reading The Christmas Castle in Scotland by Julie Kaplan. This came out in October last year. I only found out about it in January and I instantly bought it on Kindle, and I am very excited to read it because I absolutely adore Julie Kaplan's books, and I'm very excited to read this one. I believe this is following a character from the Island book by Julie Kaplan, which I read last year, so I'm very excited. And then I just have 3 more books that I want to talk about, which are for Eurovision-a-thon only. So first up, we have The American Roommate Experiment by Alana Armis, which is for Spain. The main character is from America, but this guy right here is the cousin of the main character from Spanish Love Deception, and he is Spanish, so works for Spain. Next up, I'm going to be reading The Little Paris Patisserie by Julie Kaplan. Obviously, this works for France. It's set in Paris. Again, a Julie Kaplan book. I absolutely adore her books. If I read this one and the Scotland one, I then only need to read her Brooklyn and Tokyo ones, and I've read everything in this series. It's called the Romantic Escapes series, and I absolutely adore it. And then the final book is going to be for Austria, and that is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. Now, this is for Austria because this is like a Mozart retelling kind of thing, and Mozart was Austrian. So it works for Austria, and that is what I'm saying. I don't think I'm going to pull from my NetGalley and Kindle mugs this month, just because I am already going to be reading a Kindle book with The Christmas Castle in Scotland. And for NetGalley, I think I'm just going to give myself a break because I have been doing pretty well. So I'm going to give myself a break. If I get through these, or if I can't get to the Eurovision-a-thon ones and I have time, then I will just pick one in a vlog or something. But for now, I'm quite happy with that TBR. I am really, really excited for this TBR game. I hope you enjoy this TBR game. If you don't, I'm not going to be hard on myself because I've made it for me because I'm a massive Star Wars nerd and I wanted to make this. But I really do hope you like it as well. But let me know in the comments below if you're taking part in any readathons in the month of April. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.